film that was based on that book, which is, in my eyes, the first film that's ever been set in Hawaii before, or about Hawaii, truly about Hawaii.
Thank you. And Jim, I think you're the one that discovered the book, aren't you? And that's what the stories say, and then you pitched it to Alexander.
Sort of. Alexander and Jim Taylor and I have a production company. And as a producer, it's one of my responsibilities to be on the lookout for great ideas for movies and source material. And so this book in manuscript form came our way, and it knocked me out.
Well, beneath my calm and cool exterior is a beating heart that's full of gratitude, and I don't want to say too much because my false eyelashes might fall off because I could cry. Yeah. I didn't come into this needing him to be so faithful to my book. The book has already been written, and I'm not so in love with my own work that I need it to be protected. And yet, here is this faithful, incredibly faithful adaptation, and I'm so proud and grateful, and it's the best film I've seen since Sideways.
With help, obviously, I have a fantastic casting director. He's really my secret weapon. But we probably saw upwards of 300 girls for each part, for both the older one and the younger one. And the difficulty with casting young people like that, and I had gone through this a few films ago on Election, which is a movie set in a high school, is I want them really to read real and really as kids. And often the young people who have experience in film or television, who are that age, don't read as that age. They're like 16 going on 40. Or in case of the 10-year-olds, they would, and maybe they might have some acting talent, but they've been drilled to death by their stage parents. So by the time they come in, I don't see real life. I see the mothers, insistent, I see the mothers reading, not the little girls. So I felt extremely lucky to find these two. The older one has been on a TV show called The Secret Life of the American Teenager, which I've never seen, but apparently has quite a big teen following. But boy, she's good. She's great. She both reads real to me, reads her age, and has the chops for my mental image, my mental model had been a 17-year-old Deborah Winger, someone with that fire but that vulnerability at the same time. And then the young girl has never even been in a school play before, nothing, zero. What she was good at was simply being herself and feeling comfortable in her own skin. So I've said this before, but it was kind of like putting a dog or a cat in front of the camera who can memorize dialogue. Yeah, and there were even more actors, local actors, who were in a couple of scenes that were edited from the final film. I just wanted to, I don't really know what to add to that, sir, other than I wanted to cast here as much as possible. Karen Hiradaga, who plays Lonnie's mother. Soon after I moved here, I was trying to go see local theater. I saw the Joy Luck Club at Diamond Head Theater, and I pointed her out, and she was hard to get a hold of.
She's way in the back of the house.
Karen, where are you?
Hi, Karen. Right.
Karen's a terrific actress. Her daughter came from, I think from Iolani, I forget where, I think so. We cast 2 kids out of 3 kids out of Mid-Pac and shot at Mid-Pac. And I could go on, but yeah. And then extras. Extras make a movie. Sometimes, so for example, when we shot on Kauai when we shot at Tahiti Nui, those are all the people who sit there drinking all day. they barely noticed that there was a film crew. Let me say something about that. I want it to feel real and accurate. And not just about Hawaii, but I'd never seen Honolulu in a film before. And I'm interested in cities. You know, I've seen New York, Chicago, LA, San Francisco, you know, heck, Omaha, Miami in movies, but I'd never really seen Honolulu or life in Honolulu, so that's why I kind of began with that brief montage of street life. And plus, it was all feeding into that wonderful voiceover line of KAUI's, "Paradise can go F itself." You know, but from that point till the end, though, you kind of get out of the more banal, even seedy street images into the grandeur and vividness of nature, because you can't. And it's not. I'm not interested in the Department of Tourism and Economic Development, but you cannot be here without paying attention to the vividness and grandeur and feeling puny in front of it, but somehow ennobled within that feeling of puniness. And that fed in a silent and I aspired cinematic way to KAUI's title, The Descendants, that we realize that we're just a link in the chain and we are so quickly swept under the giant rug of history. And I feel that the nature here whips you into shape with that feeling. I want to say one more thing, too, about the title, The Descendants, and please forgive me if this sounds slightly self-serving, but when we were making the film, we wanted very much to serve and service KAUI's story. That was first and foremost. But we, Jim and I, and others in the key creative team, certainly in the music, we wanted it to be a gift to the state. Not that it goes in praise, no, it goes in honesty. But we will all very swiftly be swept under the great rug of history, but we leave behind documents. And KAUI's book will be a document for future generations. And I'm very conscious of what a magnificent document film is. Mayor Carlisle earlier mentioned my background in history, and that's a lifelong thing. But I'm very aware that 100 years from now, at UH, when they're teaching a class on images of Hawaii in film and literature, this film will be shown, and a lot of students will grumble when they go to see that crappy old movie. But still, it will survive as a document of our times, and I wanted it to be right and a gift in that way.
And on the DVD that will be coming out next year, we have an archival footage of what Hawaii was like maybe, 50 years ago or something like that. There are all kinds of things. But the other thing that I mentioned this to a couple of people, I suggest you see this movie again. And it's because it must be overwhelming, or could be overwhelming, for you to try to keep track of where you are sort of geographically in the movie as well as in the story and things like that. Next time, just let yourself go and watch the movie, because it rewards repeated viewings. It really does. I mean, we've seen this movie over and over, and I can't get enough of it.
There's no sequel as of yet. I think it'd be sort of foolish for me to think of writing a sequel right now, as it's still growing in some way. So no, there's no sequel. I'm moving on. I'm getting out of this territory and going somewhere else. See what happens. Yeah.
Richard Ford, music editor. Donnie Bastone, music supervisor. Stand up, gentlemen, just for a second. Yeah, thanks. we've all been working on music together in my film since 1998 on Election, but I think they've really outdone themselves this time. Thank you, gentlemen. And Dondi and I, in recent weeks, have been putting together the soundtrack album. It'll have 18 tracks. We wanted more, but we were limited. Actually, at first they just wanted to give us 16, and we pushed them. No, we want 18. And I wrote some liner notes. And Governor, all I can say is not only do I want it in record stores and online, I want it in Starbucks. This is the 5th film festival I've been to with it so far. The first real one, of course. I had 4, prologue festivals, and at each one I've had compliments on the music. I had no idea. Gee, that's so different from what I heard in the airport. Geez Louise, where can I get a soundtrack album? So let's keep our fingers crossed that it really gets out there and awakens interest in Hawaiian music outside of the borders of the state. Absolutely. He's asking, thanks for mentioning, you're the first person to mention the gecko. Because I put that specifically in that scene, and I work not just in Hawaii, but in my other films as well. After I shoot, I send my sound effects guy there with the big laundry list of things to get. And here I told him, focus on birds, don't come back without a gecko, and wind. The Hawaiians used to have different words for wind as it went through different trees, the different sounds. Now, I couldn't be as thorough as that, but I was aware of that and wanted to have low crashing waves, high sounds of waves, different types of wind. So if you happen to follow Jim's advice and see the picture again, you may notice many of those things on the soundtrack. Not ever kind of slapping you in the face, but subtly it's all there to create the full, rich environment as much as possible. Well, currently I'm making the rounds a bit promoting this film, and happy to do so. With any degree of luck, though, in May I will begin shooting a new movie. It's a little comedy, father-son road trip from Billings, Montana to Lincoln, Nebraska that gets waylaid at a crappy town in central Nebraska where the father grew up. Just a little comedy. Nothing grand
just like this one.
Yeah, it's just a little comedy. No one invited me. Open for invitation. Well, I was at KAUI's family's house for a number of things, but no, and I'm open to all invitations. Chuck?
I want to say thank you very,
I also want to make a special note. I actually had said the wrong name of the newspaper before. I've been here too long. The Honolulu Star Advertiser. And I want to thank Dennis Francis, Dave Kennedy, Frank Bridgewater, Linda Wu, and Hawaii Luxury Magazine as well. But thank you so much to the Honolulu Star Bulletin for making this possible. Who's that idiot down at the front of the theater? Love the Advertiser. Visit every day. Thank you. Now you'll never forget the name, right? Any closing comments?
No.
All we can say is thank you for making an unbelievable, extraordinary, just extraordinary.